From Star-Lord's monologue to the music playing in the background, to secret hints in the environment, and even hints about a certain character dying. The new trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is chock full of incredible Easter eggs. Here are some of the Easter eggs you may have missed out on from the trailer, such as Star-Lord's monologue.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm Star-Lord.
This one's right at the start of the second trailer, to be more specific. I mean, you'd think they couldn't come up with ways to make it even more hype with each one, but they did just that. It's a pretty cool moment with him talking behind the scenes full of action, but one thing that most people may still need to catch up on is that the audio is obviously taken from different times and then pieced together. Turns out that there's a really cool reason for that. They took the dialogue he said in the film and then pieced it together for one of the best monologues. If you focus on it hard enough, you can even notice that some parts of it have a lot of reverb added on top as well. Not just that, but the song playing while he's in his monologue perfectly mirrors the character's situation. And at the same time, though, it also hints at the characters having to fight for their lives once again. Though it could also be a hint at the relationship that he had with Gamora, something that seems like it isn't a thing anymore.
Then she came back.
I'm super hyped to find out what happens between the two. While all of that's going on, there's also a hint that the High Evolutionary may be involved. You may have noticed that eerie-looking elevator scene from the trailer with white light coming in from all sides.
Came back and totaled.
Oh, please. He left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
Not just that, but Star-Lord and his gang, including Gamora, are all in orange jumpsuits, which could indicate that they've somehow been captured. But what really points toward the High Evolutionary being a big thing in the film are the weird fleshy lights in that very same elevator. Everyone knows that he loves decor like that wherever he goes. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for the film to actually come out before you get any kind of answers about how much he's involved in the story. But what's even sadder is that one of the main characters may die. This one may not be the most obvious one to spot. It actually takes root from the first trailer that they put out. Ever since then, there have been a lot of suspicions that either Drax or Rocket is going to die. I'd place my bets on Rocket being the one they kill off, mainly because they're going to focus much more on his story, so it could hit audiences the hardest. With that said, the second trailer gives some insight into how that may be happening.
He still needs its guardians. Hello, we come in peace.
The Guardians end up losing everything, or at least that's what the shot with all of them standing together seems to indicate. It's obviously them heading into the final battle right before things actually start going crazy. Though no one's really dead in the shot, that could very well just be an attempt at catching you off guard. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a super hype final battle that would bring about a good and satisfying ending to the trilogy. Not just that, but Star-Lord's scene where he's screaming with a ton of emotion means that it's not going to end so well for everyone. Along with being a journey that would have you absolutely sobbing at the end. Oh, and no one's for sure dying right at the start of the film, so there's some relief in knowing that. Speaking of Rocket, they're finally telling more about his origins. Yes, you heard that right. The trailer clearly shows that you're finally going to learn more about how Rocket became the incredible character you all know him as.
My sacred mission is to create the perfect society.
He didn't want to make things perfect. He just hated things the way they are.
That too from being just an average raccoon. It's wild to even think about it. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's extremely dystopian and not too far off from the state of affairs of our Earth as well. And not just that, but it's all super brutal and gory, so that's something at least I'm looking forward to. The character himself describes the entire thing, and it's basically just torturing over and over again. Who would have thought that someone from the MCU would have a dark and brutal past? Though it's to be noted that fans of the comics may be in for a surprise. Why's that? Well, they're going to tweak his origins up a bit, so some things might end up being quite different. But that's probably so that things flow better in the trilogy and can later on be connected to the rest of the MCU. With that said, you can also expect this one to get really weird and gory, mainly because that's one of Gunn's specialties. He's actually been behind some of the most grotesque and violent but still super weird films out there, so something similar wouldn't be out of the question. Ultimately, you will be getting a film that redefines what a Marvel movie can be. On the other hand, I have to talk about the Adam Warlock scene. He's arguably one of those characters that fans have been dying to see in the MCU for the longest time. Unsurprisingly, the MCU decided to keep his presence as secret as possible. I mean, of course they would. It's a great way to hype everyone up without doing much. Even the first trailer they put out for the third film didn't show that much of him. But fear not, dear viewer. This time, at least in the new trailer, you finally get to see a somewhat detailed look at him. Though admittedly, they're all action shots, boy are they the coolest thing ever. One of the biggest mysteries around him is that big golden jewel on his head. But for that, you're just going to have to wait for the film to come out. In the comics, the character has been working with the High Evolutionary for a while, but changes sides because he finds out he's a bad guy. That, with the fact that he's probably going to be showing up in the film's final act, indicates a lot. Could we finally see him on screen for the first time and join in with the Guardians to take down the big bad? Those are more questions that only the film is going to be able to answer. Though there is a frame that shows him fighting Drax. Could that mean that Drax gets killed by him? Or is it just another fight? Either way, it's really exciting stuff. And finally, Rocket's dialogue about all of them leaving.
We'll all fly away together.
Into the forever.
While this might not be the most hype on this list, it hits fans differently, and everyone absolutely loved it. What really stands out about this one is that the audio sounds more like an echo, or like it's a dream rather than something that's actually happening. Could that mean that he's dead? Or that it's something that he dreams about but is never going to get? It could even be both. Another theory is that it could be what Rocket said right before he was about to die. That would explain why the next shot you see in the trailer is Star-Lord being all sad and staring into space.
Don't forget where we came from.
Whatever the case may be, this one's going to be a tearjerker for sure. Those are the biggest Easter eggs you may have missed in the newest trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.